Bill Burr is back to deliver a much-needed history lesson on capitalism when discussing the status of American labor. Let's take a look.
This whole idea that other countries stole our jobs, like our factory jobs and all that, as far as I remember, that's not the case. Here's a little quick history from someone who doesn't read a lot. In the 1800s, during the, what was that period called? The Industrial Revolution. They had like kids working in factories, like 12, 14-hour days, like 4 or 5-year-old kids in dangerous situations. And people weren't making any money. And the one guy who owned the factory was keeping all the money. The working man finally has enough. They start organizing unions. The robber barons hire police, the army, all of these people to come in and kill these people in riots, crack their skulls, do unbelievable sorts of damage to them to try and force them to go back to work for sweatshop wages. These people died, were maimed, catastrophic injuries so that we could have a decent wage in this country. And they had unions and all of that. So then there was like a 40, 50-year period where being a middle-class person, middle-class white person, was the dream.
Yeah, so that's all accurate, by the way. I know that he started off like self-deprecatingly saying like he doesn't read a lot of books, but clearly he knows the history better than the vast majority of the people in the cabinet right now. And what he's expressing there is a dark past that we should be so glad that we are no longer in. And we should thank those individuals and organizations in the labor movement, the activists, who not only put their lives on the line, but many of them lost their lives to fix all of the nasty stuff that he was just describing there. And more importantly, we should make sure that we never go back to it. But unfortunately, we have a political movement in charge right now that wants to get us back to that and is trying at the federal and state level to do that. They want your kids to be working in these plants. They want the safety regulations that would protect them in the event they become child workers from being killed. They want to get rid of those. They're working every day to make that happen. And the reason that I like this and the reason that we go back to Bill Burr is he communicates directly, simply, probably more effectively than I can. But what I think he's demonstrating there is we have these two conceptions in this country of what it means to be a man. You have like the Donald Trumps or whatever that would tell you, you have to lay down and let those corporate overlords take everything from you, enslave your family, steal their wealth, maybe bash their skulls in. That's what it means to be a man, because it's patriotic to let the CEOs do whatever the hell they want. And there are so many on the right, including those whose entire brand is being an alpha and being masculine, that say the exact same goddamn thing. I subscribe to a different sort of masculinity. I think Bill Burr demonstrates that it is masculine to fight back against those efforts, those who would try to take advantage of your family. They would try to take advantage of your wives and your children, and not just fight back against it when it's here, but it is deeply masculine to know about and care about that history. There is nothing about masculinity that says you have to be ignorant. You have to be willfully stupid, moronic. I know that a lot of the avatars of it in this modern era are, but this is a demonstration that it doesn't have to be that way. There's a more intelligent and stronger and more aggressive masculinity that does not shy away from reality, but faces it head on and makes sure that tomorrow is better than today, certainly better than yesterday. And I think he's demonstrating how to do that. Now we're gonna give you just a little bit more of what he had to say with the little time we have remaining.
Eventually, these corporations just got sick of dealing with these unions and their hard-nosed negotiating and all that. And then they just said, well, fuck you then. Keep your union, keep your factory, we're leaving. And they took their factories outside of the US and went back to 1800 wages. What the fuck? You should be making those things here. And then what the corporate guy said was, well, we would make sneakers here, but if to pay the American worker and everything, the sneakers would then, instead of costing $50, they'd now cost $700. And I was always thinking, why? It would cost $700. I can't afford that. And what it really was they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor. So if they came back to America, we weren't going to work for that. And they weren't going to lose the profit of sweatshop labor, so they were going to pass it on to the consumer.
Again, all of that accurate, all that is important, and you can listen to him break down more of it. People need to know that history. It's a reminder that the billionaires are not your friends, the CEOs are not your friends. There is a war that has been going on since before we were a country, and it's between the workers and those who want to take their wealth. Those who want to take their wealth have a lot of representation in government. They have the entire Republican Party. They have literally one of their own in Donald Trump, trying to give them as much power as possible. They have the vast majority of the Democratic Party. We have this minor upstart movement that, by the grace of God, by some miracle, hopefully will win next time. They're out there rallying right now, AOC and Bernie Sanders, and there's people, many of them leftists, but not all of them. There are some independents and there are some right wingers that don't want to just bow down to the corporate overlords for the rest of time, and they're trying to fight back. And I'm glad that we have regular people, we have activists, we have the politicians, and we have some people in pop culture, in comedy, who actually get it and are trying to get people to wake up.